Here's a stretch pass coming in on the back end. He scores! Seth Jarvis continues to be special. And Carolina has tied it at 1 on the power play. The shot is through Martin. Verhaeghe pulls the trigger from the top of the circle, and it's 3-1 Florida here in the first period. Behind the net. He'll play it back. Chatfield. He'll look his shot through traffic. They score! You talked about glove high. Jalen Chatfield got it through, and Eric Robinson got it home. Carolina ties this one at 3.
Yeah, and there were no highlights after that. Hi, everyone. I am Adam Gold, and welcome to the Canes Corner podcast. And we are brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. You should check them out for all of your exterior home improvement needs. Not the way we all wanted to celebrate the day after Thanksgiving, after we eat all that food. I want to thank Jordan Staal, the captain of this hockey club, for coming up with, I believe, the line of the day. We all had turkey legs out there when a reporter asked if just a tough night for Spencer Martin, and Jordan Staal went, yeah, I think it was a tough night for everybody. Truth of the matter is that some of the things that didn't burn Carolina, at least enough, against Dallas and the Rangers, burned them against the Panthers. And sometimes, even when you're winning games, there are elements that need to be cleaned up. And Carolina's gone through a puck management stretch here, which, by the way, all teams go through, and Carolina has certainly been prone to in the past. But Carolina is going through a little bit of a puck management issue right now, and goaltending hasn't been good enough to bail it out. So, days like today happen. There's a lot of things to talk about. We can go through all 5 Florida goals and go, yeah, avoidable. Avoidable. Now, you're going to make mistakes because we never look at it that way when the Hurricanes score. Right? It's always, well, the Canes made a great play. And there are good plays made by Florida on all of these goals. But situations Carolina put themselves in were really responsible for those opportunities even coming about. So we'll get to that in a minute. But I just, we'll start off maybe a big picture thing here. Hurricanes are now 5-2-1 in this 9 games in 15-day road trip or, stretch of games, some of which obviously were at home. It started with a back-to-back on home ice wins over Ottawa and St. Louis. Then we had the Metropolitan Division swing, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and then Columbus. And the puck management in New Jersey and Columbus was bad, very bad. And then the Hurricanes came home for this stretch of games against Dallas, where you rescued the game with a great third period after being really not so good for 2. Then you played the Rangers. I thought Carolina was dominant in the game. Still had some puck management issues, and those ended up being goals for New York, but otherwise dominant. And then today. So all in all, been a good stretch of hockey. And putting it into context, Carolina has done the balance of this with their third goalie. And we'll talk about this because it isn't just a real issue today. And Carolina can mitigate the problem in the short term. And there is an issue with tomorrow that we will address. But that's actually going to be the second item we are going to get to. We're going to show basically, it's kind of a combination because we are going to demonstrate basically that a lot of Carolina's problems today were avoidable problems. They weren't only Spencer Martin problems; they were avoidable puck management problems. But all in all, to be 16-6-1 Frederik Andersen played, he was available for the first, I think, 6 games of the season, then went out. Pyotr Kochetkov started to play a bunch, and then he wore down, and then he got concussed, which, as we pointed out in Columbus or after the Columbus game, kind of an own goal on the part of Pyotr. No need to be out there. And I know he is close to returning, but Rod Brindamore said after the game that he is doubtful for tomorrow. I guess he didn't rule it out, but I will. I don't think they're bringing him back. If he wasn't good enough to play today, I don't know why he's good enough to play tomorrow. Because if he was ready to go tomorrow, he could have played today. And then you could have used Spencer Martin down there tomorrow because the one thing that I think Rod Brindamore is cognizant of is wearing out Spencer Martin. Anyway, so you're really down to your third goalie now, and things have still gone pretty well. And I saw somebody on Twitter say, well, if the Hurricanes don't address their goalie situation, this season's going to turn sour. And I simply replied with the record of the Hurricanes. I'm not in any way suggesting that Spencer Martin has been scintillating. I do think that the numbers tell one story, but reality tells us another. We can get caught up in numbers sometimes without looking at some other things. And before today, Martin was 3-2-1. And it seems like I'm skipping to the third part of the show, and I'm not. So let's first go through the good parts of the Hurricanes. Then we'll get to the goals, and then we'll get to the developing situation, if you will. So power play, honestly, and I said this to Shane Gostisbehere before the game. Power play's been scoring a bunch of goals, but I'm not sure the power play's been good. I didn't think the power play was good against the Rangers, yet they scored twice. When you do get the puck in the zone and they basically scored 2 transition goals in the power play. Those aren't power play goals. I mean, they are, but if you catch what I'm saying, is that they're just run of play goals. That's not a power play setting up, working the puck around, player movement, finding open spaces in the middle of their defense. Carolina right now is getting nothing in the bumper. Everything is on the edges. Now, they've been scoring, so nobody's going to really complain. Again, as I just pointed out, the Rangers goal, the 2 Rangers power play goals were both transition goals. The Necas to Jarvis? Yes, Necas to Jarvis in the back door, and then Drury to Blake right in the middle. That's the only time Carolina's really been in the middle on a power play. And they're not getting anything low to high. They're not using the behind the net to the bumper. I do remember when the Hurricanes, I guess it was during the Vincent Trocheck time, when Trocheck really operated very well from behind the net. I'd love to see Carolina use that, at least show it. So the other teams have to defend that a little bit more. But Carolina really hasn't utilized the back of the net other than to get the puck around the other side. But I haven't really liked the power play. It's just been scoring goals, and it's 10 for the last 31. 10 for 31? I think it's 10 for the last 31. So, I mean, maybe I'm an idiot. Quite possible. You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with that. But I know you do. That's fine. I said it. So, but the Hurricanes get another transition power play goal. This is Sebastian Aho with an elite level pass to Seth Jarvis right at the blue line, who goes from just inside his own defensive zone to Jarvis with his stick out in the offensive zone. Perfect pass. He comes in, backhand, forehand, backhand up high, and it's 1-1 because the Panthers had already scored. So that was good. Second period was the best period for Carolina, not even close. You could start with the goal, which good shift Actually, it was kind of the transition, I believe, from the captain's line to the top line. I'm not even sure everybody had kind of cycled off. But ultimately, the puck comes out to Sean Walker, a good pass from Jack Roslovic, and Walker from distance, straight out. Great shot inside the right post, but that's one where had Spencer Martin allowed it, we would lose our minds because it wouldn't have been a good goal. That's not a good goal for Sergei Bobrovsky to have allowed, but he allowed it. So you take your break and you move on. You did a lot of good things on the shift. Probably wasn't a goal that Sergei is going to be all that thrilled about. But right after that, you make it 3-2 there. And right after that, Florida goes on the power play, and Carolina had to rely on Martin for 2 or 3 really good saves, and he had one on Samaskovich that was excellent. He had another on Balinskis that was excellent, and then after the power play, he had one on Anton Lundell that was excellent. So Spencer Martin, who I think struggled in the first period, was really good in the second period, and then he kind of went back to struggling in the third period. But on that power play, right at the end of it, I think it was right. I'm trying to think of the sequence of events. Evan Rodriguez, from a very sharp angle, with Martin down, threw the puck right past the goal mouth. I mean, it could have grazed the far post for all we know, but Orlov drilled him. I think the shot attempt was before, but Orlov just drilled him right into the side of the net. Legal hit, clean hit, but Orlov, I thought Orlov was pretty good today. Anyway, so the power play, the penalty kill was good in that situation, and then late on in the period, or at least later in the period, heavy forecheck by I think it was the Kotkaniemi line, the fourth line. And ultimately the puck comes out. Jalen Chatfield really just floated it on net, I guess. I mean, it was a shot, wasn't a threatening shot, but Eric Robinson deflected it and it kind of fluttered over. I think it might have hit Sergei Bobrovsky's glove too. And went in the top of the net. Carolina was tied 3-3. And then you just think, coming out in the third period, can you play a good period, win the hockey game? And the answer was no. Could not. It could not. You could not win the third period. But hey, Carolina's played a lot of good hockey. Today wasn't part of it, but they have played a lot of good hockey in the past. All right, now to the Florida goals, because I think this is where we're going to really find the story of the game. So first goal, you lose a puck battle behind your own end. It's Aho, Jarvis, and Roslovic lose a puck battle. But with that said, the Jesper Boqvist goal, a backhander from above the circles, above the top of the circles. So you're not in that sweet spot on the ice. I mean, that just can't go in. I mean, I guess it can. It did. And yeah, there's a screen there, but it's just not a goal that you're crazy to allow. I don't know that I'd put it in the category of bad goal, but it's certainly savable. And I thought that the first, the third, and the fourth goals were savable. So can you get 2 of them? Heck, can you get 1 of them? And Martin didn't get any of them, which frankly is kind of what we saw against the Rangers, and to an extent what we saw against Dallas too. Although I would say against Dallas, Martin played a very good game, even though there wasn't a ton of work. He allowed 3 goals, but I think Martin probably played a pretty good game. Do I have this right? I could be wrong. I mean, he's had pockets in all 3 of these games where he played well and pockets where he didn't play well, where it's clear Carolina has to think about this going forward. Anyway, he played well in the second period. It was his best by far his best period. The second goal is a blatant Brent Burns giveaway. Yes, as Walt Ruff pointed out to me, Burns mismanaged the puck in the neutral zone, which allowed Florida to gain control of the puck and then dump it in around. Slavin throws it behind the net for Burns, who has time and space to make a better play, but he goes up the wall with some authority, not a ton, and Alexander Barkov is there, wrong guy. He gives it to Sam Reinhart, who just drifts over in between the circles, the high slot, and Martin really doesn't have a chance on that one. So, I mean, the guy scored, 60 goals last year, almost 60 goals last year. That is somebody who is going to burn you, and you got burned. But that really is a Brent Burns problem more than a Spencer Martin problem. The third goal is, again, kind of puck mismanagement in the offensive end. Florida's in transition. Sebastian Aho, they had everything there except the red cape as Carter Verhaeghe skated past him. But then it's not really a goal you should allow if you're Spencer Martin. It's above the top of the right circle. I know he has just gone past Aho. I know there's some speed there, and I know that Jacob Slavin is in front of you. You just got to do better than that, and he didn't. So to me, the first, the third, and the fourth goals were all savable goals. And the fourth goal is Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis. Like, Aho was trying to get the puck to Jarvis, who couldn't handle the puck. Maybe I thought Sebastian's passing had a little bit too much mustard on it from close range, and a lot of times, although this isn't necessarily that situation, but I think it was a tough one for Seth to handle. It ultimately ends up in a turnover. But should Greer have scored the goal? Was it AJ Greer? Should he have scored the goal from there? I don't know. But again, so let's put all three of those goals in the savable but not bad category. All right. So we'll show a little grace to Spencer Martin. The fifth goal was the shorthanded goal, and actually in the pregame show, keys to the game, that when you're on the power play, be aware that Florida looks at your power play as an opportunity for them to score. 7 now shorthanded goals this season for the Florida Panthers. 7. So Jackson Blake gets victimized on the final bad pass, but he had company. There was a lot of bad passing, and a lot of it from Carolina's best players. Necas, Aho, Jarvis, Svechnikov all took turns making bad passes. Jackson Blake's pass from the far right wing in towards the middle had no chance to get through. It didn't. It goes the other way. Eetu Luostarinen, our old friend, fired it on net. Brent Burns is back. It's a 2-on-1. And what do we know about a 2-on-1? You got to make a choice as a defenseman. Am I going to take away the shooter or the pass? Well, he didn't really do either, because if you're going to take away the pass, you also have to take away that guy from the possibility of getting a rebound, and he didn't take away anything. So Luostarinen put the puck on net. It was a good save by Martin, whose save went right over to Anton Lundell, who just easily punched it into the open net. It was 5-3. Your ball game was over at that point. End of discussion. I will go back to the fourth goal for a second, just for this. And that is, seemed like it might have been too many men on the ice. 7 players for Florida had their skates touching the rink when who was it? I guess it was Greer, when Greer maintained possession of the puck. I mean, no good. You probably need to call that, but you also should have stopped the goal. So, and I don't tend to get bent out of shape over those things when ultimately the justice was the Panthers were the better team. So puck mismanagement and suspect goaltending led to 5 goals before the empty netter. And now we'll get to Spencer. And we don't have to beat him over the head. Spencer Martin is right now fulfilling a role he is not suited to fill, because right now he's Carolina's first choice goaltender. And if I had told you at the beginning of the season that Carolina would be facing Dallas, the Rangers, Florida, and Spencer Martin would be the goaltender for those 4 games, you would have gone, why? Not what happened to Kochetkov and Anderson. You would have gone, why? Exactly. Martin's save percentage is at about .850. So here's my thought. I think Rod's going to start Martin again tomorrow. And ultimately, because he doesn't want to play Yanni Peretz. So he's going to start Martin tomorrow. And the reality is that until Kochetkov can come back, and Rod says he's close, until Kochetkov can come back, that's the way it's going to be. Because Yanni Peretz is not capable of starting an NHL game. He's capable of coming in relief if your goaltender gets hurt. And hopefully they won't need Yanni Peretz tomorrow in Florida. But again, if Kochetkov was going to be healthy enough to play tomorrow, then he would have been healthy enough to play today. So I just don't, that's not going to happen. So that's where Carolina is with their goaltending right now. And I don't think that they are inclined to make a trade today because they understand that the league looks at them as an easy mark. Well, they have to make a trade. All they have is Spencer Martin. They do expect Kochetkov to be back, but here's why, and I said this 2 weeks ago. Because when Anderson is declared out for 12 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, but I think it's pretty safe to go on the high side for Freddie. That leaves you with Spencer Martin as your second goalie. That's not the role you want Martin to fill. You want Martin to fill the third goaltender role. So now what you have to do is you have to replace the layer in between your number 1 and your number 3. And I do believe that Carolina will ultimately do that. They're just not going to do it while the rest of the league thinks Carolina is desperate. And it's hard to tell if they're desperate. Well, you won't be able to tell until we see Kochetkov play again. And my sense is we're not going to see Kochetkov tomorrow, that we'll see Kochetkov on Tuesday against Seattle, and then we'll take it from there. Because if Kochetkov comes back and is healthy and plays well, he's going to get the majority of the starts. Martin will fill in. It won't be a complete tandem. It'll be kind of 2-1, 1-1, 2-1, stuff like that. That's what I expect from Rod Brindamore, leaning towards Piotr, but not necessarily, game in, game out type of a thing. But the Hurricanes are going to have to address it at some point, because if Anderson is going to be out until middle of February, beginning of March, and you've already seen that Kochetkov has been felled twice. You just can't have Spencer Martin be you can't have him be your 1. So you're going to have to address that. And I don't believe the answer, no offense to Dustin Tokarski, he's not your answer. Your answer isn't Yanni Peretz. Your answer isn't Ruslan Kazayev, the other young goalie who's in the minor leagues right now. Those aren't your answers. You need your answer to be an NHL goalie. Doesn't have to be a number 1. We don't have to go out and get John Gibson. You just got to get somebody who's an NHL goaltender who can play NHL games. If Anton Forsberg from Ottawa, I'm not saying that's the guy they should go after, but you get somebody like that who can play either alternate with Piotr or who has experience playing in the NHL on a regular basis, yeah, that's your move. But the Hurricanes aren't going to do it right now because they believe that teams are going to try and take advantage of them, which if I were other teams, I would try to do that too. All right, we're not going to get crazy out of here. I don't think Carolina's got to do too much differently tomorrow other than manage the puck better and play a better game, have a little bit more in their legs. They didn't have a ton today. There's something to be said for maybe, when you're playing the game after Thanksgiving, maybe you're better off playing it on the road. I think Carolina's been in that position last couple of years, although I don't necessarily remember how they did. I thought they did fairly well the day after Thanksgiving, but I could be wrong. But Florida came in here. I thought Florida was better in the first, better in the third. Generally, if you win 2 periods out of 3, you win the game. If you win the first and the third period of those 3, yeah, your chances go way up. And that's really what Florida did tonight. Sergei Bobrovsky wasn't great. He didn't have to be as great as it turned out. Spencer Martin wasn't great. They needed great from Spencer Martin. Carolina was worse with the puck than Florida was with the puck. And that will do it on this Black Friday edition of the Canes Corner podcast. I am Adam Gold. Thank you very much for hanging out. Did we rip through this fast enough after a disappointing result? We did. We'll have a much happier one tomorrow when the Hurricanes are in Florida against the Panthers. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. You should check them out. AluminumCompany.com. I'm Adam. We'll see you tomorrow after the Canes and the Panthers. Good night.